Ladies and gentlemen, what you see here, this is a time of the year for Z that has never been done before. So if you want to meet him at the airport, make sure you take a nice little picture of that itinerary, and make sure to greet him.
It's gonna be a big weekend. It's gonna be a very big weekend for all of us.
Well, Z, do you want to explain what that picture means?
Well, I'm going to Baltimore by myself. I think we've already talked about it, but the time has come. I'm going to Baltimore next weekend. Let's go see the Ravens play. Never seen the Ravens play in Baltimore. So literally just going for like 2 days and then we're coming right back home.
Yep. So do you want to explain the real reason why you decided to go?
The real reason I decided to go. Yeah. Well, and the thing is that at this hotel, they don't do the continental breakfast. So.
Well, it's for the better.
Yeah. So yeah,
what breakfast will you be having before the game on Sunday?
I'm not sure, Ed. You know, it's a new city, it's a new culture. You know, something you don't experience, something you don't try to get out to. Yeah. So, maybe some crawfish.
Well, see, I hope whatever it is that you eat, that you end up missing the game because you're gonna be in the bathroom. Well, this is episode 28 of Who Are These Guys with freaking Pencil Neck. Yeah. See, why don't you show the people the jersey that is one of the most horrific jersey designs in NBA history?
Phoenix Suns, baby.
Yep. It is one of the most awful designs. See, how do you feel about the new Suns home and away jerseys now?
I like them a lot.
Yeah. See, but I think they've grown on me.
Yeah. But the thing is, then, is I'm not gonna like them if next year they're gonna change them again.
Yeah, right? If you're gonna make these, these need to be the next jerseys for the next 15 years.
Right. So if you're getting a prediction right here, right now, how long will the Suns have these jerseys? It's unpredictable.
Yeah, it is. It is just with how freaking back and forth they go with their jerseys. God, still to this day, they still should be having the Nash jerseys. I don't care what anybody says.
Of course they should.
I think those should still be their jerseys to this day. But see, they went back to the old 90s days with their jerseys and kind of modernized it, kind of made it their own at the same time. If I make a prediction on how long they keep these for, I'll say like 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah. I'll say 6 to 8 years.
Wow. Okay. See. So I'm thinking so what are they gonna have? So they obviously have their white jersey, and then they have their purple jersey, the ones that they just came out with. They're probably going to keep that black one, like the one they wore last year.
Yeah.
The PHX. They better not wear the blue one.
Well, they definitely are. You know, that's Turkish days out there, Z. That's Native American Day. There's a turkey on the court.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. Well, our channel's getting reported.
Yep.
God. Well, no, I mean, Ed and I are not the biggest fan of the blue one. I know it has meaning. But
yeah, there's meaning behind it, but dude, that's one of the that's worse than one you have on.
I know. So
it's just the blue, and then it has the Sun logo. That's it.
Like you could make it like it's cool to how the MLB, they'll honor the Hispanic culture, but it'll be the team's colors. So why are the Suns blue? You know what I mean? I'm sure there's more.
Why couldn't it just been an orange jersey then?
So I think that's the one thing they're going to be missing. I don't want the Suns to have 18 jerseys. And
I don't even think they have an orange jersey, Z.
That's what I'm saying. And I wish they did, but I don't want them to have 800 jerseys and be going to a Suns game and not knowing which one they're going to wear. You know what I mean? Like the thing is, at least you go to a Steelers game, it's pretty simple. They're wearing white or black. Right? I go to Ravens game. Oh, they're either wearing purple, black, or white.
Yeah.
All right. There's not much more than that.
No.
God, freaking, what's the Suns' name owner again? Freaking Matt.
It's a Sheba.
Yeah, Sheba. I'll never forget that guy.
Well, there's no reason he got slapped in the face.
I'll never forget that. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was great.
Anyways, this episode's not about the Suns. This episode's not about me going to Baltimore. We were just going to talk about that at the beginning. In the background, and I had a massive couple of days. About a week. Yeah, huge. And
ladies and gentlemen, it's arguably the biggest day of the year whenever
yes,
that comes around. So
yes, it is. So
see, what's
you
like?
know,
No, we have to
and
wait another 359 days.
well, it's definitely disappointing. It's definitely disappointing. But
Yep.
you know, real quick, you know, before we kind of get going into our fantasy drafts, and I want to congratulate you for a successful draft.
Yep. See, congratulations.
Congratulations on that war room that you created.
Yep. The sign's still on the door.
So you know, and you know, last week and then a few days ago in our second league, when we did all of our drafts, all of our draft picks, you know, there were plenty of hands that were shaken, and and there's plenty, you know, plenty of optimism coming into the season. Then.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. And we know the draft's always the best part of fantasy. It's always a fun time. But Z has been in. I started my league. This is the 8th season of our fantasy league. Even though it's my league, I still consider Z a part of the board, the chairman of the boards for the league, because whenever different ideas that we throw back and forth, we run it past each other. And Jason, my girlfriend Kelsey, for those that don't know, she has been in the position of executive vice president. So
she's not there yet. She's not there yet.
So she actually was a part of the draft herself. She was not in the league this year, but she
never will be.
Yep. She was there to we were there to shake each other's hands after each pick. And the rebuild is officially over.
Yeah, it is. And so it was a big couple of days that really lived up to the hype. The only thing I have to say is Tony Pollard at 3. That's the only thing I have to say.
Yeah, Tony Pollard at 3. We will get into that. We will get into that. We had a feeling there was gonna be some controversy, not that big, but we will get into that. But yeah, so this is our 8th year of my league, and we've kind of had a core of people we've had a few people that have kind of been a part of the main core since day one. We've had some people that have been a part of the core for about four years now or so. Of course, there's always some that come and go throughout the seasons, but overall, we've kind of kept pretty good groups. But we have a certain standard that we want for our league. We need people that are committed, people that are all in on the buy-in. I mean, people that are going to show up every week and are people that are going to have a competitive nature about it.
Right.
So otherwise, you're not in the league. It's just simple as that.
No.
So
and
yeah, go ahead.
No, so I was also gonna say, so you know, we've originally we started it, you know, there was no buy-in, and then we started at I think 10, and then we went to 20, and then now we're all the way to 50.
Yeah.
So
there's a pretty big jump.
It is a pretty big jump. So this is our second or third straight year doing a $50 buy-in. Maybe eventually at some point we'll up it, but yeah, and it's a successful business. It's a successful league.
Yep.
And you know, like Andrew said, you know, until the day he dies. So
well, that's right, and that was kind of refreshing to hear.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure some people are rolling their eyes, listen to us say, yeah, business.
Yeah, business. Yeah, well,
it is.
The thing is, it is. So the thing is that if you don't agree with that, well, then look in the mirror and figure out what's wrong. So, but there's a reason this league's been going on. There's a reason the league's going on its 8th season. There's a reason why the league's in demand every year.
So, yeah. So that's what I we're talking about. We're gonna pull up. We're gonna try to pull up the teams on the side right here, so you guys can look at all 12 teams in our league. And are gonna just give it record predictions. You know, give it our thoughts. I mean, we're not gonna talk about 10 minutes for each team. But yeah, and so I mean, if you want to just throw up the first team on the board, I don't care who it is, but if we're able to do that.
Yep. Give me 1 second.
And while N tries to do that, you know, if you guys have been to Horror Nights yet, you know, Horror Nights did start yesterday, or no, what's today? Started 2 days ago.
Started first, yes.
Yeah, just so some of my friends who are performing in it, to some of I know a couple of you guys actually do follow the channel. So good luck to you guys. Stay safe.
Yep.
And then I know some of you guys are also yeah, I think John, well, not John. I asked John if he's like an EMT for the event, but somebody else I know is an EMT for Horror Nights.
Well, that's something that will definitely be used.
Oh, 100% it would. 100%.
Yeah. The Horror Night's always a great time. So
yes, it
never
is.
go and enjoy. But if you're somebody who's like, all right, well, we were there on the 1st, we have plans to go on the 5th, and then the 6th, and then the 12th. It's still the first week and a half of September.
And I know. and Magic Kingdom set up their Halloween decorations like the first day of August. Isn't that sad?
You got to push the Boo Bash.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, the Boo Bash.
God. Yeah, the Boo Bash.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It really is. It really is.
How are we coming along, Aaron? How are we coming along here?
Oh, we're going good. So what we're gonna do, what I'm gonna do here, real quick, is bring up the teams, for our fantasy league. We'll kind of go one at a time here. But yeah, really how our draft went, and for those who might even be unfamiliar, is that we have 12 teams in our league, which kind of seems to be the most popular, the most popular way of fantasy leagues, the most popular kind of setup of having 12 teams in fantasy leagues. And you have a draft each year of where you have all NFL players on the board, and it's just like a normal NFL draft. You have who's ever the first pick to the 12th pick, and then it reverses itself each round. 15 rounds in my league, and there's certain scoring. There's a scoring system and all that kind of stuff like that. But so anyway, how I set up my draft is each year it's just a one click of a randomization, a randomizer, and whatever it is what it is. But what we decided to implement this year is that whoever is the winner of the loser bracket will get to pick their draft pick for the following year.
Yep.
So we decided, because then that keeps you playing for something. So if you don't make the playoffs, you're still playing for something where you can pick your pick. And you don't have to pick it right away. You can friggin' pick it the week of the draft the following year if you want. But you have the right to do that.
Yeah, if some of you haven't caught it already, so 12 teams, we only do 14 playoffs. You got to earn it. You got to earn it. No, we don't do 18 playoffs. No, we don't do that.
No, we don't.
God.
We don't have half the league make it.
No. So if you make it, it doesn't solidify you a money prize, because if you get 4th place, you don't get anything. 3rd place gets their money back, so 50. If you get finished 2nd, you double your money at 100. And if you get 1st, you obviously get the very wide majority, which I believe, if my math is correct, it'd be 450.
It's 450. Yes, it is.
It's a big payday, Ian.
Yes, it is. And I've already thanked everybody who has sent me the money in my Venmo account for helping me pay some of my credit card bill. So, so the thanks, the thank you notes have already been sent out.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Before we get more into this, there was a season like a few years ago. It was the year we did the $20 buy-in, but I won it, and I was like all excited. I'm like, all right, and like send me the payday. And this guy said a couple weeks. So to this day, I've never
I did say that.
This guy, unless I your screen, I've never trusted him to this day holding on that money.
Yeah, it's all in the Venmo account. It has not been touched.
Did you use it to buy a PlayStation?
I wish I was able to, but I did not. If I wanted that year, yes, it would have been used.
Yeah. So like I said, 12 teams, 14 playoff. This time around, whoever gets 5th place in the consolation bracket can choose their draft pick for next season. And then if the person who finishes in 5th place doesn't return next season, then whoever finished the highest from there. Yes.
So that is how it goes. Yeah. So Z and I will go through each team at a time. Yep. So starting off, we are going to start off with Caleb. And Caleb is somebody who has been in the league now. I think this is his 3rd year in the league. And he won it. I think he won it his 1st year in the league.
I think he did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. So this is his 3rd year in the league. I used to work with him. So he is going to be first here. I think it's up. Okay. Okay. So this is Caleb's team right here. As you can see on the screen, the juice is loose. So when we look at Caleb's team, I believe Caleb had what pick did he have? The 5th pick, I think.
I'm not gonna remember his pick, but yeah, something
I
like
think he had
that.
the 5th pick. I think he had the 5th pick. The 5th or the 6th pick. He had one of the two. But
Yeah.
anyway, as you guys can see on the screen there, he decided to go with Tyreek Hill with his first pick, and then he swung back around the second round and took AJ Brown, and then he took T. Higgins, and then he has Najee Harris, Alexander Madison as the 2 running backs. Decided to roll with Anthony Richardson at quarterback. Mike Evans on the bench, definitely his best bench player, along with Cam Akers, Michael Pittman, Aaron, Zeke, and Romeo Dobbs. And then the Jets D and Eddie Pinheiro on the Panthers, and then Evan Ingram at tight end. So clearly he wanted to stack his receiving group, which looks great. Evan Ingram had a breakout year last year at tight end, finally. We know the running backs. Alexander Madison is going to have a first year as a starter with Minnesota. Najee Harris, with an upgraded offensive line, should have probably his best year to date. And then Anthony Richardson, the young rookie, he's somebody who will be able to garner a lot of rushing yards. And then really not too bad of a Benzie. So overall, I kind of like this team. I think some of it depends on Anthony Richardson's rookie year. And I think just how much consistency he can get out of these 2 running backs, because you're going to be able to get production from your 3 receivers.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it a lot too. And just so you guys know, so we don't bore you, we're not gonna go through every single player through every single team.
Right.
We'll name every player that they have, but if there's somebody on the bench that we think is like worthy of talking about, then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. We just don't have enough time to break every single individual guy down.
Yeah. With Caleb's, no, I like Caleb's a lot. Stack receiving core, running backs, very, not the best. I mean, he's
They have
got the Jets
upside, though.
defense.
They have
Yeah,
upside.
he's got the Jets defense, which is one of the better ones to have in fantasy. And then, I respect the fact of him going for Anthony Richardson. It's pretty much just kind of hit or miss. So, I mean, if I would give a record prediction on this, I mean, I'm gonna play safe, and I'm gonna say 8 wins. I'm gonna say 8 wins on this one.
Okay.
So what would that be? 8-5, 8 or 8-6?
It would be there's 14 games, so 8-6.
8-6. I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah. No, I like a lot too. There's definitely a couple determining factors in the sense of some guys that could maybe hold back or even help you more. But yeah, overall, I think it's pretty good. And I think that it's a pretty good bench you can pick from. Okay, so let's move on to Jericho's team. Jericho has been a loyal member of the Road to Glory Fantasy League for since day one.
Yeah, he has.
So he has been in the league. This is his 8th season in the league. He has found success in the league as well. Yep. But I know Jericho had the 12th pick in the draft, and looking at his picks, Devontae Adams, and then he took Amon-Ra St. Brown. Got Trevor Lawrence, quarterback, Rachaad White, James Cook, Darren Waller, Keenan Allen, Commanders D, Will Lutz. He's got Dak and Michael Thomas on the bench. Definitely an interesting thing with the running back position. We don't really know how well Rachaad White's going to do in his first year as a starter at Tampa Bay. James Cook, he has some receiving ability with Buffalo. Darren Waller at tight end. Keenan Allen. How do you feel about Jericho's?
Scroll down his bench a little bit. Let me see his bench. So we got Jahan Dotson, we got Dak, Michael Thomas, Rondell Moore, Devin Singletary, Raheem Mostert, and then Jeff Wilson on the IR. All right, listen, with Jericho, and all due respect, because he's someone I want in our league forever, and respectfully, I'll be in his league forever. This is a 500 team. I think at best. I think the running backs, which are extremely unproven, and James Cook, Yon City. His receivers are definitely the strongest part of the team, but in recent history, other than Devontae Adams, I get nervous with receivers like Keenan Allen in fantasy, and even like Amon-Ra, even though he's super young. So there's some injuries that make me nervous on this team, like Darren Waller. Was that Will Lutz at kicker? Yeah, he's all right. And then Washington defense, maybe just above average. I mean, Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. Yeah, I mean, we'll see on that one. He had a really good season last year, obviously. But I don't know, dude. I'm gonna give this 6, 7 at the best here. I love you, Jericho, but
So
I'm just not on.
possibly, yeah, you're just not on board with his team.
I'm not on board with this one. No.
I don't really think I know Jericho posted on Instagram too that he wasn't really quite feeling his team too much. But who knows? Sometimes when you look at these situations, sometimes there's just guys that end up being sleeper guys, and maybe guys you just take a chance on, and they end up blooming. So who ultimately knows? Jericho's had a lot of success in our league.
I would say the only guy that in that category of like hoping they become something would be Rashad White or James Cook. Everybody else in his lineup, even on his bench, have proven in recent years that they have fancy value. But Keenan Allen gets hurt, Darren Waller gets hurt, Amon-Ra's coming in the season with a little injury, and then Dak is about as inconsistent as it gets with fantasy football. So, could it work out? Absolutely, it could. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. And I also don't like the fact that he doesn't have a backup defense, because I'm not fully sold on the Commanders' defense.
Right. No, I hear you, Z. Yeah. So if 6-8, 7-7,
I'll go 6.
I'll go 6. Okay. All right. So Z kind of looks at Jericho as a 6-win team. Jericho might agree. I think Jericho likes his team better more in his league than our league. But I think a guy like Rashad White could definitely possibly be a sleeper. He's going to be the primary back there in Tampa Bay. But some of his guys have to stay healthy. I think to find success for him to find success for his team, health is kind of a big factor on this roster.
100%.
So let's continue on. Let's go to Nick's team. Nick Tornado. Nick has also been a loyal member. Yeah, Nikolai. He has. He's somebody as well who has been in the league for all 8 seasons. He's somebody who has been around for all 8 years. So we give Nick a ton of credit on that, and we are glad that he sticks around in the league. So here's Nick's team. Nick decided to take a quarterback in round 12.
We were all waiting for it.
We were all waiting for it, dude. We were all waiting for it, and he decided to take a quarterback round 12. And so his quarterback is Daniel Jones to start. He did pick Kyler Murray at the end of the draft.
Sleeper pick.
Yeah, well, we'll see how long he's out for. So he went with Daniel Jones. He's a starter for at least the first 4 weeks. Christian McCaffrey was his
first round pick.
First round pick. Yep. And then he swung around and took Jalen Waddle in round 2. He ended up getting Josh Jacobs round 3. And then he went with Amari Cooper, Tyler Higbee, Hopkins, Browns D, Daniel Carlson. Like I said, Daniel Jones. We'll take a look at his bench. Chris Godwin, Alvin Kamara. He was slipping down the boards. I remember, Z, you were wondering when he was going to fall. Nick decided to grab him. Brandon Ayuk, Juju, Kadarius Toney, an extra empty bench spot, and then he has Kyler on the IR currently. So, Z, when I look at Nick's team here, Nick has always kind of been somebody who's been pretty competitive almost every single year. And I think Nick tends to more draft well than not draft well. When you look at his 2 running backs, like those are just two head guys right there with McCaffrey and Jacobs. I know Jacobs had a ton of carries last year, and that offense is going to be driven through him. So we'll be able to see if he's able to put up a similar amount of numbers that he did last year. Overall, pretty solid receiving core. DeAndre, we have to wait and see how he does in Tennessee. Tyler Higbee. I stayed away from all Rams players. I had no interest in Cooper Kupp. I had no interest in Stafford, Cam Akers. I'm staying away all from Rams players. They are a walking cast of a team. They're literally a hospital. That's literally what the team is. They're literally a hospital. It's very concerning offensively, but he decided to go with Higbee. But really, when you look at his bench, Godwin and Kamara off the bench, Kamara could end up being a huge guy for him in the middle of the year.
Yeah. So I'm again, shout out to Nick. Every season that we've had, he's been in it. So shout out to Nick. But I am a big fan of Nick's team this season. Big fan. I don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's perfect by far. I mean, look who his starting quarterback is. And even look who his starting defense is. He does have an additional roster spot, so he could add an additional defense or a quarterback just to have a backup plan, which I think he certainly should do. But something with Nick's team here, which is interesting, right, is that how deep his bench is he would have the ability to make a trade, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm just simply looking at his starting lineup, I love the running back duo. Absolutely love it. I think it's got to be the best one in the league, right? Jalen Waddle has clearly turned himself into an elite wide receiver. I'm a big fan of Amari Cooper since he's become on Cleveland's #1 wide receiver. And then the fact that you have you have so many guys who can be a flex: Hopkins, Godwin, Kamara, Kadarius Toney. I mean, it's such a well-rounded, deep roster where really, even if he has a guy on even if he has one or two guys who doesn't perform his line every week, it seems like he can consistently week in and week out substitute in somebody and get production out of them. So the quarterback position is a very, very big concern. I don't know how good Daniel Jones did last year. I can't really remember. So that's a wait and see. I think Kyler's a sleeper pick. That's obviously also a wait and see how he comes back. But I'm a big fan of Nick's team. If I'd put a number on it, I think I would push this one up to a 9.
9-win team.
I push this one up to a 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Z gives a 9-win team on Nick's team, possible playoff team. When you look at it, I like Nick's team too. We know Daniel Jones kind of in maybe his tight end spot, possibly maybe a Hopkins there. Those are kind of some outliers in the sense of hoping at least 2 out of 3 of those guys can produce. But his team's led by his receivers and his backs. And at the end of the day, that's the most important primary part of your roster.
Yeah.
So, all right. So moving on from Nick's team, let's move on to the next. We're going to go to Andrew's team. Andrew has been in the league. I believe this is his 4th year in the league now, correct, Z?
The Drewski.
Yep. I believe this is Andrew's 4th year in the league. So he is somebody who has been loyal to the league as well. So Andrew had the 11th pick and decided to go with Saquon and take Derrick Henry. 3rd round, he took Mark Andrews. And then filling out the rest of his roster, he's got Deshaun at quarterback, DJ Moore, Jacoby Myers on the Raiders, their wide receiver 2, Miles Sanders at flex, Bengals defense, McPherson at kicker, Jerry Jeudy on the bench, JSN on the bench, Antonio Gibson, Nico Collins, and Devon, whatever his last name is, and nobody knows who he is. So, and then he's also got Carson Wentz.
Yeah, Carson Wentz.
Yeah. The reason why he took Wentz was pack him and Z made. They had to pick a random guy, and they got to stick with him.
Just wait to see who's on mine. Wait to see who's on mine.
Yep. So when we look at Andy's team, definitely really solid. Probably really can't get too much better at running back with Henry and Saquon. DJ Moore and Jacoby Myers. I think when you look at his team, that wide receiver spot is the outlier of the team. Because you have a solidified tight end who's always one of the top tight ends in fantasy, and then Miles Sanders isn't too bad of a flex, being the lead back at Carolina on a young team. But DJ Moore getting traded to Chicago. We know Chicago has not really shown themselves to be a passing offense yet. So we'll have to really kind of wait and see sometimes with some of these picks on how that they flourish, whether it's a new coordinator, new system, new team, new quarterback that they're playing with, whatever it is. And then Jacoby Myers, who's someone who was kind of on and off the waiver wire last year, who's coming into wide receiver 2 territory. Bench isn't too bad. I think Antonio Gibson can do some decent things there in Washington. Jerry Jeudy needs to stay healthy, and we know Denver's offense is kind of on and off. JSN I like a lot. He could be, I think, a weekly play for Andrew as the NFL season goes on. But Z, what do you think about Andrew's approach here?
Andrew, I love you, man. I do. I mean that. At best, 6 wins. At best, 6 wins here.
Andy, you heard it from Z.
Yes, I do like the running back duo. But the receivers, good God. I mean, I mean, Jacoby Myers, really? No, no, no. So the number 2 guy on your in your lineup, and then on his team that he plays for, was he the number 3, right, behind Devontae and Hunter Renfrow? So
Yeah.
The receiving duo just, oh God. I'm not a fan of Miles Sanders. I was passing on him the whole entire draft. I think a big portion of his success was due to the offensive line and offensive system he had in Philadelphia. So that's a big wait and see. Bengals defense is about as average as it gets. Evan McPherson, do like him as a kicker. That's fine. Mark Andrews, good tight end to have in your lineup. And Deshaun Watson, who respectfully, I do believe he'll have a bounce back season, not to what he played before a few years back, but he'll bounce back season. But this team just up and down, I don't see consistently week in and week out producing. Even the guys on his bench. I mean, who do we got down there? Antonio Gibson. Who's under Antonio Gibson? Who is it? Nico Collins. God, Andrew.
Dolphins running back. Not sure who that is.
No.
And then JSN. JSN's going to be his wide receiver too once he's healthy.
No backup defense, no backup quarterback. Mark Andrews coming in the season with an undisclosed injury, so no backup tight end. And even when you have an aging running back who's almost 30 years old, and you have a running back in Saquon who, other than last season and his rookie year, has injury history, there's not much of a backup plan at running back. So it just makes me nervous. 1, his depth, and 2, his production week in and week out. At best, I'm giving this one 6 wins.
6 wins at best for Andrew. Yeah, no, I think Andrew missed a little bit of the boat on wide receivers. He'll agree to that. If Saquon stays healthy, though, his running backs can be really productive. Sanders, new system, young system now with the young quarterback, a new O-line. Have to wait and see how that plays out. But I'm sure if he wanted to redo, he'd get a redo wide receiver.
100% he would.
So, all right. So let's move on from Andrew's team. We're going to go to D's team. And this was the controversy of the draft, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, it was.
Z and I had a feeling that we knew there was at least going to be a pick early on, whether that's the first or second round, that was going to be very controversial. And Z, it happened not even 5 minutes into the draft.
Not even 2 minutes in.
Not even 2 minutes. So, D, this is for you. You deserve to be roasted.
Yes, you do.
So D had the 3rd pick in the draft. Z and I are thinking maybe she'll go McCaffrey. Maybe she'll take Kelsey, right? Maybe she'll take I don't know. Maybe she'll take a wide receiver early on that maybe is projected to go in the middle of the first. So, but she decides to take Tony Pollard at the 3rd overall pick. And I feel like she has Tony Pollard every year. I feel like D likes to kind of keep a similar strategy every year in the sense of having the same guys, at least a few of them in her lineup year in, year out. But she went with Tony Pollard round 3 or with the 3rd overall pick. So Z, do you want to go a little deeper on
that? Where do I even start? Honestly, and where do I even start on this team?
See, there really is nowhere to start.
So, in case you guys don't know, Danielle is my sister.
Yep. And this is D's 4th year in the league now. So, it's her 4th year.
Yep. So she's been here for a long time. She'll probably be in it forever.
Yep.
Danielle is a new mother. So please put some respect on her name to anybody. But let me get in this team. Might be the worst one in the league. might be the worst one in the league.
Very well.
If I'm going to go top to bottom here, I don't care about the bench. I'm not getting in the bench. I don't care about Adam Thielen. I don't care about Dalton Schultz. I don't care about AJ Dillon. If I'm going for up and down here, Joe Burrow, that's fine. I know he's coming in the season with a little injury, but I don't care about that. Joe Burrow will be great. The running back duo, it's above average. But again, like you might be, it's like, what do you mean above average? Pollard and James Conner is good, but I'm talking about value here, man. I'm talking about what she could have took at 3 outside of Tony Pollard, right? She could have had McCaffrey and Pollard. That's a big difference. That's a big difference, right? So I'm going above average on the running back duo. The receiving duo, average, right? DK, Christian Watson, right? I mean, and then who are the tight? Greg Dortch
Dulwich.
or Dolich, whatever his name is your flex. Oh my god! And and obviously you guys see at the bottom there, Justin Tucker, who's somebody I take every year, but D thought she'd be funny, and she took him in like the 7th round. So,
Yeah.
no, I'm not a fan of this team. Is there some optimism? Absolutely. You got Christian Watson, who's number 1 receiver now. I mean, who else? Who else we got here? DK, who's number 1 receiver. Tony
McCleave, Z.
Pollard.
McCleave.
Yeah, McCleave. And then you got Tony Pollard, who is now the number 1 running back in Dallas. So there's optimism, sure, but I have very, very few of it. And I'm giving this 4 to 5 wins, respectfully.
4 to 5 wins. So with Dee's team last year, Z, we kind of had a similar thought that we thought she was going to struggle again, but she actually did surprise people. She won 7 last year.
She did.
And she was in the race till the last couple weeks.
She did. Yep.
She did. So really best case scenario for this is for James Conner to stay healthy and James Conner to be the productive guy out of that Arizona offense.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard to be able to probably get double-digit touchdowns on the season. DK Metcalf staying is, he'll stay as wide receiver 1, but probably having an even better year than he did last year. And then Christian Watson being able to take off in year 2. I think that's best case scenario for her focal point of the roster.
100%.
So, 100%. D, it's never personal. You know that sometimes certain decision making that you do in fantasy deserves to be crapped on. Sometimes it deserves to be praised. But this draft, we weren't really quite sure what was going through your
head. So, yeah, we love you. And but that's the thing where we're going. We're going 4 to 5 wins there.
Yep. So moving on from D's team, Z. And even though like whatever number Z's putting on a team or what I'm putting on a team, like you never know with fantasy because ultimately some guys have certain weeks, some guys don't have certain weeks, some guys disappoint, some guys are sleepers and come onto the scene, blah blah blah. But at least just at face value, that's kind of what you're taking at. So really, any of these teams that we think will be better than the other, or maybe not so hot on compared to other teams, some of them will end up flourishing that you might not think so. So it's just the nature of fantasy football. But I think really for D to capitalize on even having a better team, it was a missed opportunity in the first round. Right. So speaking of D, we're going to go to Spike's team, Z.
Yes, we are.
We're going to go to Spike's team. Spike is D's significant other. And this is Spike's first year in this league. He wanted to be in it last year, but he decided to ask last minute. And we just did not have a spot for him, but I told him the following year he has a spot, and here he is in the league. So Spike got the first overall pick, and he wasted no time and took Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
And then coming back around, he went with Joe Mixon and Kenneth Walker and Patrick Mahomes. I believe he took Mahomes the first pick of the 3rd round, right?
Yep.
So then he finished off with Kenneth Walker, OBJ, Hawkinson, Mike Williams, Eagles defense, Matt Gay on the Rams, or on Indianapolis. I mean, I think he used to play for the Rams. On Indy now. Khalil Herbert, Sky Moore, Elijah Mitchell, Tyler Boyd, Dawson Knox, and Paris Campbell on his bench.
All right, do me a favor. Stay on that bench for me for a second.
All right, good.
If you guys are watching this, and maybe you're a newcomer to fantasy football, or you want to play fantasy football at some point, I want to make sure that if your bench looks like this, it's very bad, right? If you have no backup plan for multiple positions, right? Dawson Knox, your backup tight end. Good God, right? you have no backup quarterback. Oh, he's got Mahomes. I don't care. and you have no backup defense. Oh, he has the Eagles. I don't care, right? Yeah. It's a new season. It doesn't matter what it was the season before, what it was the last decade. Don't have your bench set up like this, as my personal advice, right? Not everyone's going to agree with me. That's fine. But don't have your bench set up like this because it's not going to round out. It's not going to round out your team the way I think it. The way I've done it. Now, if you could scroll back up for me to the top,
Yep.
If I'm going to go over the rest of his roster, I do like it. I do like it
Yeah.
from top to
Yeah.
bottom. It's very deep. I mean, what can you say? You got some of the most popular players in the league, and Patrick Mahomes and Justin Jefferson. But the rest of it, I don't know, dude. Injury history, Mike Williams. Injury history, Odell. Injury history, T.J. Hawkinson. Right. So again, I don't take injuries too much into account when it comes to a fantasy team, but that's what I mean is that if I have somebody like that, I want a backup plan for sure. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. His team's a tough one to predict. It really is.
Yeah.
If I would throw something on this, I think I'm gonna throw average on here. I think I'm gonna go around 6 to 7.
Okay. Now, Spike said he felt pretty good about his team, and understandably so. I think when you look at it face value, pretty solid all around. Like just in terms of the starting lineup, Mixon and Kenneth Walker, pretty good there. Just really in general, like it's not like a Henry and a Saquon type duo, but it's still a duo that will get you be productive. Justin Jefferson, OBJ at wide receiver Tuesday, I don't like. I'm
No.
not on the OBJ train. Uh, ever since when he went to Cleveland and all the way up to now, whether it's through injuries or just disappointment, like the guy has just never done it for me. Um, I think if he's somebody on your bench, I think that's great. But as a weekly play at wide receiver too, there might be a week that he does well, and then the next 3 weeks Z is nothing. TJ Hawkinson, overall, one of the top, I think he was the 4th rated fantasy tight end last year, if I'm not mistaken. He's just got to stay healthy. Mike Williams has some health issues too, but he's a guy that can get you 10 touchdowns a year. But yeah, you do need to just take into account being able to have, like what Z was saying, being able to have a couple options on the bench. And I think there's a couple players that if he needs to plug and play in a certain week, that can be okay. But really, you don't really look at anybody there that, and that's kind of how it is with your bench. Like there's really nobody on your bench that you're going to play on a weekly basis. But even if you have 1 to 2 guys on your bench that if you need to plug and play for at least 3 to 4 weeks a year, that's kind of what you want. And there might not really be that option there for Spike. But overall, I mean, I think it's a team. I think it's a team. It's a team that can be competitive through the year.
I do. Yeah, that's why I'm giving it that 7-win mark. I think it's maybe just on the outside looking in here.
Right. All right. So move on from Spike's team, who had the first overall pick in the draft. We're gonna move to State of the Steelers. My YouTube partner Daniel J, who I do Steelers podcast with on his channel and my channel. This is actually Daniel's first year in the league, and actually his first time playing fantasy football. So Daniel had the 2nd overall pick, and he went with Jamar Chase, which was a great pick at number 2. And then he swung back around, and I believe that he took Deebo Samuel in the 2nd round, and then he ended up taking Jalen Hurts in the beginning of the 3rd round, right after Spike took Patrick Mahomes. And then he filled out the rest of his team as Isaiah Pacheco, Javonte Williams, David Njoku, Deontay at the flex, Saints defense, Tyler Bass on Buffalo. And then here's his bench. Not really sure why he has 3 quarterbacks: Dalvin Cook, Dalton Kincaid, Gabe Davis, Russ, Tua, and then DJ Chark. So when I look at his bench, like I don't think his bench is bad at all, except for I don't know why he has 2 quarterbacks there. But Dalvin Cook is somebody who's going to get some carries in the Jets. He's probably not going to be somebody that you're going to be playing on a weekly basis, but if you need to plug and play him in certain weeks, I think you can do that. Dalton Kincaid has some high potential there. Gabe Davis is not a bad wide receiver on your bench whatsoever. Probably keep Tua over Russ on your bench, but drafting Russ, I think, was a missed opportunity to be able to draft somebody else. The running back position for his starting lineup can be a little thin. Like I don't think Isaiah Pacheco is going to be a guy that's going to get you consistent fantasy points on a weekly basis. He's probably going to be a little bit of hit and miss and stuff like that. Javonte Williams can be a good back, but he's coming back off a big injury. Don't know how much he's going to play right away, especially since they signed Pirine. So Javonte might be a guy as the season goes on. You might be able to see more from. But overall, what do you think about Daniel's first year in our league?
I think for his first year of drafting, it looks like he definitely did some homework.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not gonna criticize him on it. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the best team in the league, and I definitely don't think it's the worst. Uh, I had Jalen Hurts last season. I think he'll be just as good this season for his team. Love Jamar Chase as a wide receiver 1. And yeah, although Debo's been a little bit inconsistent, wide receiver 2, that's fine, especially with Debo's talent. You have multiple guys from Deontay Johnson to Dalvin Cook that you can plug in at that flex position, and you would be okay. Saints defense, I've had them a couple times. They're all right. Tyler Bass, yeah, decent kicker in Buffalo. Makes me nervous, especially when when that weather starts hitting in the wintertime in Buffalo. But yeah, his running backs, his running backs, which are very young. And again, like, I'm not going to put the injury part into this, just due to their age and how they can come back. Or when I say they, I say Javonte Williams. His running backs are okay. They're okay. Receivers are good. Quarterback is great. So, yeah, I think he needs to balance out his team a little bit more. I know I use the word balance so many times, but I think he needs to balance it out more. He doesn't need 2 quarterbacks on the bench.
I asked him about that too, Z.
So yeah, and you can't make a trade. No one's trading for Russell. I don't think anyone even wants to trade for Tua.
You just got to drop Russell and maybe wait to see if a guy has a performance over a couple weeks span that's worth picking up.
Right. He's got a backup tight end. He's got a backup running back or 2. He's got a receiver down there. You can keep Tua. Maybe just bring a backup defense. Right. So, yeah, I don't think Daniel's team is bad at all. I don't know if this is a playoff team. I think it's close. So I'll put it around the 7 mark here, around the 7.
Okay. Yeah, I thought Daniel did fine for his first year in our draft and his first year just playing fantasy in general. Definitely something, regardless how the season goes, to build off from, taking into the following year. But yeah, there's definitely potential here, and he's somebody that can be competitive throughout the year. Let's go to Captain Kirk's team, Quentin's team, Z's friend Quentin. No idea who this is. Never met him in my life. But we had an opening in the league, and Z invited him in, and he is in for year 1. Don't know if he'll stick around another year or not. We'll wait and see. But nonetheless, hopefully he still enjoys his time in our league. But Z here is Quentin's team. So,
yep.
So he decided to go with Cooper Kupp in the first round, and Quentin had the 11th pick in the draft. And so he went with Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp dropped all the way to the 11th in our draft. Cooper Kupp right now is kind of having lingering injuries. But then he also decided to take Nick Chubb following that. Jahmyr Gibbs, added Calvin Ridley, Cooks, Pitts, Drake London, Ravens defense, Jake Elliott, Kirk Cousins as his starter. And then his bench, David Montgomery, Treylon Burks, Elijah Moore, Zach Charbonnet, and Justin Ross on Kansas City. So I think when we look at this, Nick Chubb is one of the better backs in the league. He's going to get you touchdowns. He's going to get you yards. Jahmyr Gibbs is kind of a sleeper guy, if you kind of want to say that. He's somebody that can be a good receiving option in Detroit. He's probably going to end up getting most of the time over David Montgomery, at least at some point this year. Calvin Ridley being back from injury, interesting just to kind of see how he's going to be implemented into Jacksonville's offense. And then we look at Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts has just been kind of a disappointment ever since he's come in the league, but I also think he just is not in a good system for his play style. Brandon Cooks, wide receiver 2. I don't really care about that, Z. Like you also have Michael Gallup in that fold too. I don't really think Cooks is going to be a big difference maker in Dallas. But I think he might be able to be somebody that might be able to be a good flex guy on a roster in certain weeks. And that's probably what he'll be on his team once Cooper Kupp's inserted into the lineup. Drake London, have to wait and see how that passing offense goes in Atlanta. But there's a couple guys on his bench though, like Dave Montgomery, Treylon Burks. Like, not really big on either one of them, but if you need to plug them in a certain week, I think you could do that. There's a little bit of upside for Treylon Burks, I think. So I don't know. I think for when really we look at it, I feel like he probably felt like that he had to go with Cooper Kupp because we know how good he is, and probably like 11th, like, all right, I'm gonna go with him and then try to round out the rest of my roster the best I can.
Right.
because Cooper Kupp was the best player on the board, but we still know the concerns when we look at their quarterback and when we look at his injury issues.
Yep. Yeah. So, my boy Quentin. So, welcome to the league. He'll probably be watching this video to see what we think of his team. But yeah, welcome to the league, Quentin. I like it. I do like it. I think he has multiple backup plans on his bench. I really like all the receivers he has. I like every single one of them, to be honest. Even all the way down to Elijah Moore.
Right.
I feel like Gibbs has kind of grown on me as the offseason has gone on. Don't know why he has both Detroit running backs.
Maybe just in case. I don't know.
Yeah, in case one of them becomes like the head guy. I really doubt it'd be Montgomery. But Gibbs kind of grown on me throughout the offseason. I don't think he'll be as good as Bijan, but he's definitely grown on me a little bit. Nick Chubb, I've had Nick Chubb multiple times. He's fantastic. Sometimes throughout the year, he'll be a little kind of non-existent, but that's okay. He'll still show up when you need him. Kirk Cousins at quarterback, yeah. A lot of passing yards, a lot of touchdowns you're to get, a lot of turnovers. So Kirk Cousins is okay. I would say maybe average, just slightly above. I like all the receivers. I do. I like Calvin Ridley. I like Drake London. I like Cooper Kupp as long as he's healthy. So I think he's got multiple backup plans. Ravens defense, average. And then, Kyle Pitts a tight end. I mean, I'm that's not what I'm a fan of.
You've never been big on Kyle Pitts.
No. So I mean,
I think he has an underrated team. I really do. I think he has an underrated team. I think if Cooper Kupp plays for him and is in his lineup weekly, he's got a lot of options he can use at his flex spot.
Right.
And that's great. London, Cooks, if you have Montgomery, or even if you have a Burks or somebody like that who's maybe coming on a little bit with Tennessee, there's some options there at flex. So I think it's underrated. I think it's a team that can put up some points and has some potential.
I think it's underrated too. I don't maybe be repetitive with the record predictions I'm giving everybody, but I do believe that this is going to be a year where everyone's going to be around the same general vicinity. I don't think there's going to be a double-digit winner. And I don't think there's going to be somebody that we've had in the past, like Andy or Jordan or anybody like that. Yeah, I'm saying these names on the video.
Yeah.
That have got like 2 wins.
Corey, Charlie,
awful.
Just an awful run that guy had in the league. Awful run.
And
4 wins every year.
Yeah. So I don't think there's gonna be anybody in that. I think D is about as low as it's gonna get because I gave her 4 to 5, but I don't think there's gonna be anybody like the Corey, Andy, Jordan category or Charlie that had like 2 wins. No, I don't think there's anybody be like that.
I don't think so either.
No. So I'll give Quentin around, I think again, around that 7, maybe pushing that 8 mark, depending on Cooper Kupp.
No, it definitely is. I think I think when we look at the league in general, I think that there's just overall good balance from really everybody. And I think that there's going to be a handful that are just going to kind of be in that mix as the season goes on. All right, so we're going to go to Devin's team. Probably the most basic fantasy name that you'll see, Deontay Johnson. This is Devin's first year in the league. He's another guy I have done YouTube with.
Don't make me say it. Don't make me say it.
Yeah. Z, you've already told him. But Devin's a good guy. He's a big Steeler fan like myself. And he's played fantasy football before. So this is his first year in our league as we had another opening. Hopefully he's somebody that decides to stick around as well. So Devin, welcome to the league. But Devin had the 4th overall pick in the league, Z. And he decided to go with Travis Kelce, which is fine. Travis Kelce's been the number 1 ranked fantasy tight end over the last 8 years. And then he's rounded his team out with Josh Allen, probably one of the biggest surprises in the league. He decided to take George Pickens round 3. Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson Jr., Terry McLaurin, Quentin Johnston at his flex, Niners defense, Young Ho Koo at kicker, Kenny Pickett on his bench, Dolphins D, Tyler Algier, backup running back in Atlanta, who almost had 1,000 yards last year, Tyler Conklin at tight end, Cameron Dicker, so he has a backup kicker, and then KJ Osborne to round out his bench. So this is Devin's first year in our league. I like Kelce, man. I think, dude, I had McLaurin last year, and there's the reason I stayed away from him this year. I just don't really believe in the Sam Howell, Terry McLaurin connection on a consistent basis. Terry McLaurin kind of pissed me off last year. Like, he was just so hot and cold. And until I see some solidification in Washington, he's somebody I'm sticking away from. I think he's very talented. He's one of the better receivers in the league. But I wanted to stick away from him. George Pickens, I think, is going to be a dog this year. But at round 3, I think really in all our opinions, there was better options, better value out there than taking Pickens in round 3 when you probably could have a shot out of him in round 5 or round 6. Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson Jr. Brian Robinson's very questionable. We have no idea what his role is going to be. He's in year 2. He didn't really do much his rookie season either. Josh Allen can't really get too much better fantasy at quarterback for fantasy than him. But he does have a backup defense with Miami that can be a solid defense. He does have a backup kicker in Kenny who either probably went undrafted in most leagues or at least went toward the end of the draft as a backup quarterback. Kenny's expected to at least have a nice jump into year 2. And then backup kicker, 1 backup wide receiver, and then he has a backup tight end on the Jets. So, Devin, welcome to the league in your first year. Z, what do you think about his strategy he went with this season?
The bias is unreal. and I knew it was coming from him or Daniel. I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett on your fantasy roster.
Yeah.
And George Pickens is your number 1 receiver. Right. So here's the thing though. I'm not going to say too many bad things about his team because I don't I wouldn't say I dislike it. I don't. Love the 2 defenses. That's something I always try to go with. Love the 2 defenses. Love has got a backup tight end. Yeah, he's got a backup quarterback. Yeah, good, I guess. Young-Ho Koo, one of the most accurate kickers in the NFL. And yeah, what can you say about Travis Kelce? Produces year in, year out, even though he's 33 years old, doesn't matter. Aaron Jones, same thing with him. Josh Allen, same thing with him. So the receivers are obviously a little questionable. I do like Quentin Johnston. I think there's got to be at least 1 or 2 rookie receivers, just like every year, maybe more, that produce at a very high level for fantasy. So
yep, and if Keenan Allen decides to sit on the bench again this season, as he does every year, then Quentin Johnston's going to get some more snaps.
That's what I'm saying. Like I do kind of like the Quentin Johnston pick. I think that's a little sleeper. I do like his pick again. I do like this team. Again, the value part. There were some picks where he probably could have got even deeper with his team. But I like it. I'm not gonna say I dislike it. So I'm gonna give this one. It's tough, but I'm gonna give this one like a solid. I'm gonna give it an 8.
8-win team.
I'm gonna give it an 8-win team.
Wow, I think you like it better than I thought you would. Yeah, no,
I like Brian Robinson. I do.
Okay, definitely has some potential. We know that Devin went a little biased on this one, but it is what it is. George Pickens, I think, will ultimately end up being a top 20 fantasy wide receiver this year. So it's he's probably not quite going to be a wide receiver 1 this year. But I think he'll at least finish somewhere in that top 20 category. Terry McLaurin is fine as wide receiver 2. There's just some things we got to see with his connection with his quarterback. How many numbers is he going to be able to put up more weeks than not? Travis Kelce, you're going to get production from pretty much every week. Josh Allen, you're going to get production from pretty much every week. As Z said, he put out a good point about Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston was a first-round pick as a rookie this year. He definitely is. Mike Williams is going to be, the guy down the field. Keenan Allen is a great route runner and is going to see targets himself, but you can't really count on him being on the field 17 games a year. So Quentin Johnston's definitely going to have some opportunity there. Niners defense is great. Kenny at backup quarterback. I think Kenny will have a nice season. So again, he's just kind of, if maybe in a bye week or whatever you want to do there, you can always plug him in. But he hasn't come into really fantasy relevance yet in his career. And then Dolphins defense as a backup is not a bad option at all. They have some dogs on that team, man. So yeah, I think that Devin has a little bit of a underrated team, and I think that he'll kind of be there in the mix as well. I think that he'll kind of be in that pond of almost everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. So I completely agree. So I'm gonna go 7 to 8 with Devin.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to John's team. This is another one of Z's friends who I've never met, who I don't know. But John, welcome to the league. We had an opening as well this year. So this is John's team going with Lamar at quarterback. He took Austin Eckler in his first round. And then he went with Stevenson, Olave, Devontae Smith, George Kittle at tight end. Tyler Lockett is his flex. Packers D, Graham Gano, Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift, Jordan Addison, Samaje Perine on his bench. Gerald Everett and Derek Carr. In my opinion, Z, I think this is the best bench in the league.
I agree.
I think
Hammer Nick.
Yeah. I think having Jamal Williams on your bench is great. I like him a lot. He led the league in touchdowns last year. He's going to start at least the first 3 games. But even when Kamara comes back, Jamal Williams is probably going to be a primary rusher. Even when Kamara comes back, he's still going to get some touchdowns. So he's probably going to primarily be a flex guy throughout the year, but he's somebody I think you can play on most weeks. DeAndre Swift, he's going to catch some passes. We don't really know how they're going to implement their running backs yet this year because they got about 3 of them they're probably going to use. So having him as a backup option on your bench is great. Jordan Addison, wide receiver 2 now in Minnesota. Samaje Perine, he's probably going to get most of the carries to start the year. And then Derek Carr is your backup quarterback. Probably the strength of his team that you look at is probably at running back with Eckler and Stevenson. Olave had a good rookie year last year. Devontae Smith had a very good season last year where he's starting to transcend into one of the better receivers in the league. George Kittle at tight end is fine. The guy just can never stay on the field. Lamar at quarterback is somebody who can pay off for you fantasy-wise. He's got to stay freaking healthy. He's got to stay on the field. And that's something he hasn't done the last 2 years. Green Bay's defense, they have some guys there. Might kind of be a defense that's more middle of the pack of the season. And then Graham Gano at kicker. So, Z, I think John as well. I think he's going to be another guy that is more competitive than not throughout the year.
Right. Yeah. I'm pretty optimistic on this team. I'm simply weighing between the 8 or 9 category. I am. I love the running backs. I love that he even has Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift on the bench.
Yeah, that's a great bench.
And I love that he has multiple receivers, again, with a young guy on the bench as well, and Jordan Addison. The thing is with George Kittle, probably the most glass door in the entire NFL. But when he performs, could possibly be the best fantasy tight end out there. With Lamar, I mean, what can you say about Lamar? It's, again, being healthy. He has an offensive core around him. So, I mean, I can't really disagree with him taking Lamar. So I'm very, very optimistic on Johns. I'm going to give Johns around that 8 to 9 category.
Yeah, no, it definitely has potential to be one of the better teams in the league. And that's the thing. Like I even feel like last year, other than maybe 1 or 2 teams, like there was an overall pretty good all around balance in the league. I think this year is going to have that again, but like now, since like the people who are kind of that 2, 3, 4 win team aren't really in the league anymore. I think probably the worst win number you're going to see is probably maybe around 5, maybe 6. Yeah, I think really just the league overall is going to be a good competitive balance from really everybody. So, all right. And then rounding up this video, Z, we're going to do your team and my team. So let's do, let's go with my team first. So we're going to go to my team. I had the 8th pick in the draft this year, and I will explain what I did. So we had the 8th pick. At the 8th pick, I went with Stephon Diggs. I know in some drafts he was going maybe around 10, 11, 12 as well. But I went with Diggs at 8. My options at 8 were Bijan, Saquon, Stephon. Yeah, well, that sounds about right. Bijan, Stephon, and Saquon. So, I'll see if that doesn't sound right. I don't know what does.
No comment, and no comment.
Yeah, no comment. So, but we had, other than Stephon Diggs, Bijan Robinson was there. Saquon Barkley was still there, and Cooper Kupp. So when we look at it at those 4, Derrick Henry was there, but I wasn't going to take Derrick Henry at 8. When we look at those 4, I did not take Cooper Kupp. I explained my reason earlier as to why I stayed away from him, in my personal opinion. So it ultimately for me came down to Bijan Robinson or Stephon Diggs. I was really thinking Bijan Robinson, honestly, the last couple of weeks. I have a lot of high hopes for him, but this year for fantasy, I kind of had the idea in my head of going a different direction. And I kind of have a direction with how, especially with how NFL is nowadays, and how many deep wide receivers there are. I kind of wanted to really take advantage on the wide receiver game this year. And I decided to go with Stephon Diggs, who's arguably one of the better wide receivers in the league, and is somebody who is going to put up fantasy numbers, who I had in Jericho's league last year. And I decided to go with him over Bijan just because even though Bijan's a rookie, there's a lot of optimism and high hopes for him, but he's still a rookie. He's still Tyler Algier is somebody as well who's not to be slept on. He's somebody who had nearly 1,000 yards rushing last year. So he's still going to be implemented. And we ultimately don't really know how well Atlanta's offense is going to translate this year. They're going to run the ball a lot. They have an offensive system that favors running the ball. But you can't do that every single time. So how much will they maybe eliminate some of that impact on Bijan or Algier or whatever that they try to do? So I was kind of thinking about that a little bit. But I decided to go with Diggs just because I wanted a top wide receiver, and I know that he's going to be one of the better guys again this year. And I just kind of wanted to switch it up. I wanted to go in a different direction and capitalize on getting 2 top wide receivers this year on my team. So the second round, coming around the second round, I went with CeeDee Lamb, who I was very high on as well and excited to get. And then I still knew that I was still going to be able to take at least a top back in fantasy this year, and I grabbed Travis Etienne at round 3, who I'm very excited about. He's somebody who can run the ball. He's somebody who's going to catch the ball. He's got to stay healthy. He was fairly healthy last year, but he's got to stay healthy. Round 4, we ended up taking Justin Herbert because the quarterbacks decided to go at the end of the second round into the third round. And before me, Z took Justin Fields, as you will see on his team. So I'm like, okay, if I decide not to take a quarterback between Lamar or Herbert, I'm going to miss out, and my quarterback's going to be Kirk Cousins. So I did not really want to play that route and decided to take Justin Herbert over Lamar. Yes, I did. Went with him, came back around. Breece Hall, who I like a lot, might be a little bit of a slow start getting him back into the mold, but thought that he was somebody that could, that's going to catch passes. He's somebody that I think is still going to be an integral part of the Jets offense, especially even if just the year goes on. Maybe not right away, but even as the year goes on, he's somebody that could be somebody that puts up some productive numbers. We went with Pat Freiermuth at tight end between him and George Kittle, just because I know I'm going to get consistency from Freiermuth. He doesn't get hurt. He's finished the 7th ranked tight end last year, and I know I'm at least going to get 10 plus points every week from this guy. Christian Kirk, we decided to take at our flex. He was the best guy on the board at the time to grab at the flex spot. I still think he's going to be Lawrence's number 1 guy. He had a career year last year there. Grabbed Steelers defense. Jason Myers, a kicker. Went with J.K. Dobbins as our top bench guy, who's somebody I could also plug and play certain weeks, depending how I feel. We went with Rashad Penny as another running back, just because just how Philly's probably going to utilize their backs this year. We went with, let me scroll down. We went with Zay Flowers as a backup wide receiver, Jared Goff, Carolina defense, and I did pick up Deion Jackson in free agency because he's at least going to start the first 4 games for Indianapolis. And I'll be the first to admit, I honestly, at the end of the draft, I wish that I went about my bench a little better. I took the Steelers defense a little early, and I knew I could have capitalized on getting somebody like an Addison or Gabe Davis as a backup wide receiver. But I think having Goff as my backup quarterback, I think having at least a couple options, at least 2 to 3 options there at running back, given Breece Hall's situation, kind of maybe helps me a little bit in at least the beginning of the season. But yeah, it felt fresh for me. It felt fresh for me. Double dipped at wide receiver, went a little bit of different direction, still got a top running back. RB2 position has a little bit of upside with Breece Hall and J.K. Dobbins possibly. Christian Kirk I like as my flex, Freiermuth. So I felt pretty good. And just decided to go a different route this year, Z, as you knew that I was going to do that.
It's a new year, and it's a new year.
It is a new year.
And you're trying to build a culture that has not been created.
Yep.
And you're trying to give the fan base what they deserve, right?
Yes, I am.
It's been a long time coming for N to hear this, and I'm going to say this live on air.
Yep.
Right here on NFL Live.
Yep. Right here on NFL Live.
Yeah. So as the only way this doesn't happen is unless this team gets infested by injuries. Infested, I mean, because N's team is deep, right? If we're good throughout the whole season, and may finish with the best record in the league.
Wow.
Ed May
See?
finished with the best.
I was
Yep,
not expecting
yep,
that to come from you, my friend.
yep.
I
And
was
May
not
finished with the best
expecting that
record
to
in the
come
league.
from you.
So we just clap it up for N.
Yep.
Because N might have drafted his team the best. We have Herbert at quarterback. We got ETN, Brees Hall, J.K. Dobbins, Rashad Penny, and Deion Jackson. Almost all 5 guys there could be going into week 1 as the number 1 starter.
Yep.
So running back, extremely deep. Wide receiver, I mean, you already have 3 guys in your lineup who you could start at that 1 and 2 receiving spot.
Mm-hmm.
Love they have 2 defenses. You have that 1 tight end there, which is fine, and Jason Myers, who's I'd probably say is an average, maybe just above average kicker.
Mm-hmm.
So N's team is extremely well rounded with superstar talent from left to right, and as long as this team stays healthy throughout the whole year, I don't see why N wouldn't win his division.
Well, Z, I didn't expect that to come from me. I was kind of thinking maybe you would just kind of put me in the same pond as a lot of the others, which I would agree to. Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with that. My biggest concern, Z, is just how's my running back 2 position going to transition as throughout the season, and just some of my guys on my bench. Like, even though I have like some different running back options, like Zay Flowers is really my only receiver on the bench, which will change. Like, there's going to be a couple guys on the waiver wire as the year goes on too, but I still do have 3 options of wide receiver, at least not counting him. But I felt pretty good. I just wanted to go into it with a different direction, with a different mindset, and I just really wanted to take advantage of capitalizing on getting at least 2 deep wide receivers. And ETN was still available, and I was this close at drafting Jonathan Taylor over Travis Etienne. This close. I literally had his name highlighted on my draft board while I was up, and I shook Jason's hand, and I clicked ETN. So, Z, I am optimistic. I'm going to stay humble because I need to prove it. But really, guys, for my fantasy league, I've only made the playoffs 1 time, and I think it was maybe like 4 years ago. But I'm never like bad. I'm always around like that 500 mark. I mean, literally my all-time record in my league is 500. So I'm usually like kind of hitting that 6, 7. There's been a couple times I've hit an 8 mark, but still missed out on a playoff spot here or there. I believe I've only made the playoffs once so far in my league. But I've never lost. I've never won any less than 6 games.
Right.
So I've always kind of been like a team that's always in the mix usually, or in the hunt, but we haven't been able to go over that hump. So hopefully this year can be the year to do that, because I think we deserve it.
This time around, there's no excuses. And does go into every draft just like anybody, very optimistic. But it seems like every year when we get to the mid 3/4 portion of the season, and it'll be like, well, I'm not the one out there on the field. Well, it's the same excuse he makes every single season.
It's not in my control, Z. It is not.
Yeah. Well, and you're the GM, you're the owner. So whatever you put out there is a product of what you think could win. So there is no excuse. There is no, I'm not the one out in the field, because you never will be. I mean, just look at your body.
There's
no excuses for this year.
Yeah. Well, Z, there's not any excuses, and there's a reason why I went with a whole different mindset this year in the first 2 rounds.
Look at your body.
Yeah, look at my body. Well, Kelsey loves it, so that's all that matters. But I feel good. I feel just kind of refreshed in a way, and just kind of excited to see how it pays off.
Right.
And I hope it does well, and hopefully we can stay fairly healthy. So I appreciate the compliment, Z. I appreciate the optimism, and having faith in my team.
Trying to raise a banner, and you're trying to raise a banner this season.
I am. Yep. And so I appreciate the optimism, appreciate the credit. We will see what happens, but we're staying humble. So we're going to move on to Z's team. Last but not least, we are saving the last spot for Z's team.
Last letter in the alphabet, last team in the league.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And last in life. So that's how it goes. But Z actually had the pick right after me. Z had the 9th pick, and then in actually Jericho's league, which we're not going to go over here, but in Jericho's league, I had the 10th pick and Z had the 11th. So we were literally right next to each other in both leagues this season.
So dumb
in draft order. So Z, this is Z's team, guys. Z with his first pick, took Bijan Robinson right after I took Stephon Diggs. He went with Bijan Robinson. And again, there's a lot of high hopes for him. There's a lot of people that I think he's the favorite to win the offensive rookie of the year this season. So there's a lot of reasons, whether you're a Falcons fan, just fantasy fan, put money on whatever, a lot of reasons to be optimistic about Bijan Robinson. He's a guy that can catch, he can run routes. He's going to score some touchdowns this year. I think that he could be somebody that finishes top 10 at his position in fantasy. Absolutely. So then Z came back around in round 2 and grabbed Garrett Wilson, somebody who won Rookie of the Year last year, somebody who's already shown to have a great connection with Aaron so far, or as we've seen in preseason, at least for that one game. He's somebody who's going to be a beast. As long as Aaron's on the field, he's going to put up great numbers with Aaron. So you got that at round 2, and then Z did take Jonathan Taylor in round 3, right after I took ETN. And Jonathan Taylor, if we scroll down here, Jonathan Taylor is on Z's IR.
Yeah, he is. Pathetic.
Is. Yep. So Z did take Jonathan Taylor in round 3. We know there's been a lot of things with his contract issues. So the question is, will he play at some point this year, whether it's for the Colts, whether it's for a new team, or will he just not play at all? So that is a question to be determined. But Z did take a chance on him, expecting and hoping that he would find a new team. And he still can. He's just not going to be there the first four weeks.
Yep.
But Z does have a good backup plan. He ended up taking Dameon Pierce as the draft went on. Dameon Pierce was somebody who had some really good weeks with the Texans. He's going to be their lead back in this season. He ended up going with Justin Fields at quarterback. Z took Jalen Hurts last year. Jalen Hurts was not a top 5, top 3 ranked fantasy quarterback last year, going into last year. I mean, not after the season, going into the fantasy season last year. Hurts was somebody that was not being taken highly. Z had a lot of confidence in Jalen Hurts, and it paid off. And Z hopes to have the same thing happen with Justin Fields. Justin Fields put up a lot of really good numbers in the midway point of last season, fantasy-wise. And Z has a lot of optimism there. And then Z also went with Hollywood Brown, who is now the number 1 receiver in Arizona. Cole Kmet to pair with Justin Fields. Jerick McKinnon, as of right now, in his flex spot, who did great things for him in Jericho's league last year in the final stretch. Cowboys defense, Harrison Butker, Cortland Sutton on the bench, Zach Ertz on the bench as a backup tight end. Patriots defense on the backup, Darnell Mooney, Jonathan Taylor on the IR, and Z has Tom Brady on his bench. So that is Z's backup quarterback, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
Tom
it is.
Brady.
Yeah, it is.
That is Z's backup quarterback. So, yep, and that's the pact Andrew and him wanted to make. I did not take part in it because I'm trying to prove something. But Z decided to take Tom Brady, part of the pact, and Tom Brady has to stay on his team throughout the season. So unless there's a dire situation, he has to drop him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, Z, I'll start on the roster, and then you can take over. First of all, Z has been probably the most successful in our fantasy league throughout the 8 years. He is, was it 2 championships out of 3?
I think I won it 3 times. The first time I won, it wasn't for money.
Okay. So Z won 3 times. Are you 3 for 3 or 3 for 4?
What, in the championship?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think in the championship I've won it every time, but I have not made it to the championship every time I've gotten the playoffs.
Right. So Z has won it 3 times. He won it in 2021, and he won it last year, correct? Or no, Ethan won it last year. Z lost in the playoffs last year. Guy that's not in the league, but you won it 2021, and then you won it in the year before that one, 2019. And then you won it a year
2017.
Yeah, 2017 when we weren't doing it for money at that point, but we might as well call you the San Francisco Giants.
Every other year.
Every other year. So maybe this might be it.
Yeah.
But Z with the 9th pick in our draft, this is what he decided to do. Justin Fields has a ton of upside. He definitely could end up being the Jalen Hurts of this season. Bijan, Dameon Pierce still, even not having Jonathan Taylor and having to plug Dameon Pierce in at RB2, at least for the first 4 weeks, you're still going to be able to see production from that, at least for that time being before Jonathan Taylor, whatever the next step is in his decision or whatever's going on with his contract. Garrett Wilson, Hollywood Brown. Garrett Wilson's going to be a top 10 fantasy wide receiver this year, long as Aaron's playing. Hollywood Brown at wide receiver number 1 for the Cardinals is definitely, I think, a little bit of a sleeper pick. He's not going to put up like crazy numbers, but I think as a wide receiver too, I think you're going to see some production there. Cole Kmet is, we know he's kind of questionable. He hasn't really come in yet to his own, but he had some good games last year. So Z's hoping he kind of maybe takes a step forward. And it's not like, well, and also Z, when you were taking tight end, there wasn't really too many guys on the board at that time either.
Mm-hmm.
Cole Kmet was probably that best tight end on the board. But there's some upside there, especially if they can get their passing going. Cowboys defense is going to be one of the best defenses in the league. Jerick McKinnon with Isaiah Pacheco back there. Don't know how many snaps he'll get on a weekly basis, but he's someone that can catch. He's somebody that can run, and he proved that he can be a valuable asset as he showed toward the end of the season last year. He was a freaking monster. So Z's going to stick with that. Harrison Butker at kicker. Cortland Sutton on the bench, so he's got a viable backup wide receiver option if need be. Zach Ertz, backup tight end, still coming off an injury. Patriots defense, so he's kind of got that second defense there, and then he's got Darnell Mooney as another wide receiver, and then he's got Tom Brady. So really, when we look at it, Z has Robinson, Pierce, Jonathan Taylor, and Jerick McKinnon, really. So he's got his 4 backs there. He's got his 2 starting wide receivers, and then he's got 2 on the bench, which is kind of how he likes to do it. Zach Ertz, and then don't you still have an open bench spot?
I do, yeah.
So Z has an open bench spot, and he's going to be able to have some options in the beginning of the season if he needs to add anybody. So Z, after really examining, I think, first of all, I feel like really no matter what direction you decide to draft or what you decide to do, given your track record, given the competitive nature that you've had, given winning a few titles in this league, nobody can write you off, regardless of how you draft, whatever your approach is, anything like that. So we never discount Z. I think that Z did a good job. He took a couple chances, like I said, at quarterback, at tight end a little bit. So we have to wait and see how that pays off. But Z, I don't see why you wouldn't be in the mix unless Jonathan Taylor, unless this stretches out and you look back at it and it kind of bites you in the ass, or if you have a significant injury on your team, I don't see why you can't be in the mix with everybody else.
Right.
And I think you will, just given your track record. You have talent on this route. Bijan, Damian Pierce will put up points. Garrett Wilson put up points. Justin Fields, if he's somebody that can kind of replicate what he did in the middle part of the season last year to the end, that's going to be fantastic. You have a couple options there to utilize at flex between Mooney, Ertz, Sutton, McKinnon. Even if Jonathan Taylor does come back, then you can move Damian Pierce down there. So you definitely have some options. I still think you're pretty deep at back. As long as Jonathan Taylor plays, you have some options on the bench at wide receivers at backup. You have a backup tight end in Ertz, who's somebody who will come back and will at least probably have some production on certain weeks. So I think you'll be pretty much just right up there with anybody else you want to put up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that there's reasons to be optimistic about your team and to be excited and to try to get back to the championship.
Yeah. So my approach was a little bit different. I'm not gonna go too much into it because I'm not as I'll admit to myself I'm not as optimistic on my team this season as I've been in the past. I know the Cole Kmet tight end situation is not ideal, but I'm always someone whoever my quarterback is, I want at least somebody that he throws the ball to, running back, receiver, or tight end, on the same team, on my team. So this time around, I tried to reach for DJ Moore. He was taken.
Right.
So I had to settle with Cole Kmet.
Yep.
I'm very high on Justin Fields this season. I'm very high on Bijan. I'm very high on Garrett Wilson. I think those are the 3 that'll produce me.
That's your main core. If your main core right there can really kind of hit the home run, you're looking good.
Yeah. So obviously I took a big risk on a first round level talent in Jonathan Taylor. This situation could either go down as my worst pick ever, or it could go down as saving my season. I'm not gonna say
yes,
like the biggest
absolutely steal. Good. I think that's a great way to put it.
I'm not gonna say it's like the biggest steal I've ever had, but it's either gonna save my season or it's gonna be the worst pick I've ever had. So crossing my fingers every single day coming up at the season and for the first month that he either plays for Indianapolis or he gets traded somewhere where he can't play. It doesn't seem like he's gonna get traded. So Jonathan Taylor, stop being a fucking loser. Jim Isray, who if that's the owner of the Colts still, that guy's a joke.
Yeah, he's one of the worst owners in the league.
Yeah. So please let's get this figured out because I need him out there, and it just changes the whole dynamic of my entire fantasy team.
Yes, it does.
So Jonathan Taylor, I'm praying he gets out there eventually after that 4th week. But yeah, my receiving duo, I'm high on my receiving duo. Just the only thing that's concerning is, of course, the quarterback situation with Arizona. I got my 2 defenses. Harrison Butker, he's the guy I had to settle with. So, I'm not the highest I've been on my team ever. And I mean, if I give myself something, I'm going to put myself around the 7 to 8 mark.
Okay. Staying a little humble about it, waiting to see how certain things play out. But I think that, like I said, Z, if Fields turns into the guy that you're hoping for him to be, and Fields is 99% owned in all leagues. So like he finished, I think, is what, the top 8 fantasy quarterback last year?
Something like that. I think it might have been 6.
6th, 7th, 8th, whichever. Yeah, 6th, 7th, whatever it was. So there's a lot of expectations from him, from Bears fans, just from really everybody, for him to be able to take a step forward in year 3. The rushing ability there is obviously huge fantasy wise. So long as you get the Justin Fields that he was last year, you're looking good there. Bijan's a beast. Obviously got to hope for the best, Jonathan Taylor, but still, like, you have guys on your team that are going to produce. You still have a good focal point of guys that, long as they're just consistent as you expect them to be, they're gonna help carry your team. And I know that I definitely know from past that you've been more optimistic on other teams you've had than this one, but it's not like that. This isn't a team that can't compete. This is a team that can be competitive. This is a team that will be competitive, a team that will be in the mix, not just in your division, but just as the league overall. I think you just have good options at back, especially if Taylor comes back. You have some backup wide receiver options for a week or 2 if you need that. Yeah, so Bijan, Pierce, Garrett, Justin Fields, right there that's your core. If you get your consistency out of them, you're going to be looking good most weeks than not. Got to wait and see with McKinnon, Kmet, of course. Hopefully, Hollywood Brown can get some good targets in Arizona. But it's not a bad team at all, Z. I know you've had better teams. I know you've had teams that you liked better, but I still think that it's a team that can win you 8-9 games.
Yeah, it's just all depending on JT.
Yeah, and that's what you said too. If Jonathan Taylor can come back, that's just an ultimate freaking boost.
Yeah,
that's that late season push.
Yeah,
if that guy comes back. So, but yeah, guys. So that's Z's team right there. Went a little bit of a different approach, a little bit of similar approach last year, a little bit of a different approach as well this year. Kind of a mix, it seems like. But regardless, you never count out Z. It doesn't matter whatever his draft approaches each year. But overall, Z, I feel great about our league. 8 years in, we have a formidable core of guys that have been there since day one. We also have a core of people who have been there 3-4 years now, which is great. We're always going to have people that come in and out, but at the end of the day, I think our league is going just to be well-rounded, well-balanced. I don't think that you're going to see that poverty-esque type records and teams that have been in the league in the past. I think even some teams that maybe you don't like as much as other teams, I still think that those teams even have opportunities to do well, especially if some of the questionable guys kind of flourish, and so that they have an opportunity. So I think really at the end of the day, I think really the league's just gonna be balanced. I think it's just gonna be overall competitive in both divisions, and let the best teams win. Honestly.
But before we end this video, we'll pull up the the standings here, where we can show every single team.
Yeah.
And before we end this, Ed and I will give our playoff predictions. We'll give our playoff predictions for who we think will make it. I'm not gonna say who's going to win it, but I'm just gonna say who I think is gonna make it. Right. I'll go ahead and start in.
Okay. All right. So the top that you see there with standings is one division on the left, one division on the right.
Right. So in my division, it's me, Nick, Andrew, Danielle, Quentin, and John. In N's division, it's him, Caleb, Jericho, Daniel, Spike, and Devin. So, and I'm gonna get straight to the point here. There's no need to sugarcoat it. I'm gonna get straight to the point, and I'm gonna say who I think is going to be in that top 4 coming in at the end of the season. Are you ready?
Well, Z, I am ready. Yes, I am.
All right. So, starting in the NFC. I wish we had some music to go with it. That's okay. Starting the NFC. Who will win the division? This is tough.
Yes, it is.
This is tough.
Yes, it is.
But who's going to win the division? I am going to give my respect. He's been close to it the last couple of years, but this time he's going to do it. It's going to be Nick. It's going to be Nick.
Okay. All right.
Congratulations to Nick for congratulations to Nick. From winning the division in the AFC. It's been a long time coming.
Yes, it has.
It's been a long time coming.
Yes, it has. Z.
and there's not much more to say about it, but N will win the division this season.
You love to hear it. I don't think I've heard that in my life.
And will win the division this season.
I think all 8 years I have not heard that.
All right. Congratulations, Ed. Congratulations.
Yep.
The first wild card is going to come out of the AFC.
Okay.
The first wild card is going to come out of the AFC.
Okay.
It's a sleeper pick. It might not be a popular pick, but it will be Devin. It will be Devin.
Devin makes it. Devin gets in.
It will be Devin.
Wow.
The fourth wild card will come out of the NFC.
Okay.
Will come out of the NFC. And it hurts to do this. But congratulations on making the fourth and final spot to Mr. Jonathan Murray.
Jonathan
Murray. To John Murray. To sneaking in the fourth wild card spot.
Wow. And dude, it's actually kind of tough because, like I said, like I think that everybody in this league has a chance. Everybody in this league has an opportunity. There's previous years where we could sit and look at teams from the past and be like, yeah, like what is this? Like this is 3 wins. I think everybody has an opportunity. I think everybody has a chance to make a run, to make a play in their division. I really do. And it actually excites me when we have a league like that, because I think we had a handful of that last year. This year, I think we have more of that, which is great. So to me, I think it's just really unpredictable. Like, of course, fantasy is always unpredictable, but I think just really, especially with how the league is kind of shifted right now, I think it's tough. I look at both divisions, and like, I think you can make a case for ultimately anybody making a play. If I'm going to do a prediction, Z, from the AFC winning the division, I'm going to say the division winner in our league. I'm going to give it to Caleb, Z.
He's giving it to Caleb.
I'm going to give it to Caleb. I think Caleb did a well job drafting. I think he has a well-rounded overall team. I'm staying humble. I appreciate the kind words from you. I appreciate the optimism and kind of the level of confidence you have in my roster, but I'm staying humble. I need to see it play out because I've just really been in a purgatory of being really an ultimate 500 team and 500 franchise. And hopefully this is a year we take a step forward and we start changing that shift. But till we see it, I'm staying humble about it. In the AFC, I'm going to say the winner of the AFC this year, or not the AFC, the NFC this year. This is tough, Z. I might have to pull this up one more time. I'm going to pull it up on my phone one time because I'm going a little bit back and forth here. So if I have to do one preseason prediction, Preseason prediction.
It's a big moment. It's a big moment.
It is a big moment. Preseason prediction winner. I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna say Nick.
All right.
I'm gonna say Nikolai. I'm gonna say Nikolai. Other wild card coming out of the NFC. Again, this is preseason picks. So shout out to everybody in the league because I think all you guys can make a play. I think it's going to be a really well-balanced league. And I think that it's really going to come down to probably the final stages of the season to really determine everything. But the final pick to get into the playoffs, I'm going to say Z gets in.
Wow.
I'm gonna say pencil neck. I'm gonna say freckle nose.
There we go.
I'm gonna say he gets in.
Yeah, freckle nose.
The reason why is I kind of look at Z like the Steelers in a way. Even though not that the Steelers have won a championship as of late, but you never count them
over
out.
a decade.
Yeah, over a decade. Well, Z, the Ravens are almost there as well.
And it's been over a decade for the Ravens as well, I think. I think it's been a decade exactly.
Yeah, I kind of like I kind of like the determination of Z with the Steelers because regardless of what team they put together, they're always going to be competitive. They're always going to win games, and they're always going to stay in the race one way or another. And I think regardless of how Z feels about his team, regardless of how other people in the league feel about Z's team, regardless how you feel about Z's team, regardless how I feel about Z's team, regardless how Barry does, Annette.
There it is.
I don't know.
Yeah, Annette.
Ramses. Yeah, it doesn't matter who it is.
He's a realtor.
It doesn't matter who it is. Jason. Yeah, he's a realtor. Well, how the sales going, Ramses? But I'm not counting Z out. I have faith in Z's team. I still think there's enough there to be able to have a good push, even if Jonathan Taylor sits out a while or doesn't play at all. I think there's enough there. I really do. And I'm going to give the edge of Z just in the sense of track record, in the sense of you don't overlook Z. And I think that he still has an overall good balance of a team, even without Jonathan Taylor. So going to give Z the edge and wild card number 1 from the NFC. The last wild card. It can come from the NFC. It can come from the AFC. Really looking at it. Yeah, it's a little tough.
Now, obviously, a lot of things we're factoring in here is just the straight up talent on each roster.
Yeah,
you got to keep in mind
what it is.
and you got to keep in mind, who manages this team is also very important. Who you going to drop? Who you going to pick up? If you monitor the waiver wire, if you monitor any trades that you can make, and most importantly, setting your lineups appropriately.
Right.
So,
right. Well, that's definitely another thing as well. And fantasy's unpredictable as it comes ultimately, but still, at the end of the day, you still have to be able to play your cards right. And with that being said, last wildcard team, whether it's from the AFC or NFC, man, it's tough. I really do think it's going to come down to the really ultimate end of the season in the sense of setting the playoff berth. I'm gonna say, and like I said, I've stayed humble. I feel like I've kind of stayed humble the last few years as well. Like I've had teams where I've been optimistic about. When I look at my team this year, I'm a little more optimistic about it than in certain other years prior. But and I like my team a lot. But again, I'm staying humble, and I know your thoughts, and I'm sure that anybody watching this video, will probably look at my team and think I did a good job. I mean, I think I did a well job, especially going in a different direction. But I'm not going to put myself in it. I'm not going to put myself in it. I'm gonna say that until again I show it, and until I show it to myself, I'm staying humble about it. So again, I understand your prediction, and I appreciate the thoughts and everything. And like I said, I am optimistic, but I'm not going to put myself in there. I'm going to say just how much I think it's going to ultimately just be competitive throughout the year, and how much it's going to come down to the end of the season. Until it's ultimately shown, I got to give the edge somewhere else. So with that being said, last person to get this wild card spot, it's going to be Spike.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's going to be Spike in year one. In year one, Spike is going to get in and start trying to make a name for himself.
Yeah. Congratulations to Spike. Congratulations.
Yeah. Yep. I like his team as well. Like I've said, I think it has some good balance. Of course, there's a thing there, a thing there as well that you look at. But I think that most of his core, I think, is going to help him stay competitive.
Right.
So, and again, even we both could be completely wrong and anything like that, but I just think it's just an overall really good balance of all 12 teams in our league, and I think everybody has a shot.
Yep. Yep.
So, but yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, I will stop sharing this and we'll pop back up on the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a hour and 42-minute rundown of mine and Z's fantasy league. And it took time just because we wanted to be thorough. We wanted to not just throw crap out there. But also it's been a little while since we've done a football video. It is what it is. So if you stayed out for the entire time and you were interested in hearing our thoughts about our league, thank you so much. Even if you stayed for 5-10 minutes, thank you very much. We appreciate your support. But I think, Z, we both can just say we're both looking forward to the season. We both have optimism about our teams, but it's going to be it's going to be it's going to be a showdown every week.
Yeah. No, I mean it's just another one of those years where draft is come and gone, and now it's time to do it for real.
Yeah. So, no, it is.
Good luck to everybody.
Yeah. Yep. Good luck to everybody. Like I said, it's hard to really even make a prediction just because I just think with really where the league is at right now, it's just a good offset. I think everybody offsets each other really well. And that makes it even more fun. So I'm excited to see how it turns out. Excited to see just how it turns out each and every week. And what we're going to do shows, Z, we'll do shows probably every week where we talk about fantasy, or even if we're talking about something else sports related and we do a little segment about how our fantasy league's going, we can always do that. But we will keep you guys in the loop fantasy wise. We will be doing fantasy episodes as well, or certain segments, even if it's a different type of episode. But Z, anything else you want to say before we head out of here?
Not much, N. Not much. That's our season prediction. That's our season evaluation. Yep. So it's just it's game on now. So I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys in Baltimore.
Yep. Z will see you. Z will see you guys in Baltimore. To everybody in the league, good luck.
Well, like we will be recording a video before that.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. So our next video will probably come out on Tuesday. Z and I are going to be doing another prediction thing, but we're going to be going through really just the NFL season in general, divisions, teams, record predictions, stuff like that. Our final ones before the season kicks off Thursday, which is a great time, great feeling. But Z, it was a fun video. It was a pleasure. And it's, again, everybody in the league, good luck. We're excited about how it's all going to go. And I'm just really excited because I just like where the state of the league's at right now, Z. I really do. I think it's going to be very interesting throughout the season for everybody. So
congratulations and on a new season. Congratulations.
Yep. Congratulations on your AZ. So everybody, Z and I are going to end it on that. We will see you Tuesday for some more NFL talk. Z has a date with Bernard and a little bit. a little bit later on. Z, we had to get a little comedic relief in there because it's been more of a serious video. But other than that, guys, Z and I will be back, and we will see you soon. And subscribe to his Twitch channel that's still trying to stay alive. MythicalJazzy. It was up here, it went down, it's back up here, and we're starting to trend down again, Z. So you got to.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are.
You got to change that. So we will see you guys on Tuesday.